Hello and welcome to Rising into Mindful Motherhood. In this episode, I just want to give my own little touch on the episode that we had last week with Bethany Gettis. It was an episode that you definitely want to listen to. We talked all things about blood sugar imbalance and how that can have an impact on your fertility, either in a negative or a positive way. Hey, beautiful soul. You're listening to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast, your weekly dose of fertility wisdom. I'm your host, Dr. Katie Wood. I'm a barefoot mama bear, pharmacist, and integrative fertility coach. This is your go-to podcast for all things to naturally nourish your fertility, embody womb healing, and reclaim your feminine power to accelerate your path to pregnancy. My expert guests and I will be having intentional conversations to discuss the many facets of a thriving, fertile foundation, natural wellness, and how we grow and transform as women on our journey to motherhood. So let's dive in, shall we? If you're someone who's struggling with insulin resistance or PCOS, there are a lot of good lifestyle, nutrition, and even supplement tips in there that you definitely want to go back and listen to if you haven't listened to it already. I'm really passionate about learning how to regulate your blood sugar in a natural and healthy way because I feel like it has such a large impact on our health that we don't quite realize. And similar to Bethany's story, when you go to the doctor in Western medicine, whether you have concerns about insulin resistance or if they diagnose you with PCOS, or just by going to the doctor and maybe having some labs done, you learn and discover that you have insulin resistance. And a lot of times they're going to just prescribe you to lose weight, eat healthier, maybe exercise, maybe even put you on birth control to regulate your cycle, which is not actually happening, and send you on your way with no real direction, no actual action steps that you can take. And sometimes people experience gaslighting, or their concerns are dismissed, or something is actually wrong, but the doctor is just blowing it off and saying, oh, it's fine, it's normal, you don't have to worry about it. But actually, you do. And when you're in the season of trying to conceive, your blood sugar plays a very big role in that. And if you have a doctor that just doesn't have the awareness or the bedside manner to give you the appropriate support that you deserve, then it can be really hard to get the help and support that you need to actually help regulate your blood sugar in a way that you can restore your health, your fertility, your vitality. Because I know so many women who are diagnosed with PCOS, they are just told blanket statement that you're going to struggle to get pregnant. Getting pregnant naturally is impossible. It's not going to happen. You're going to need Clomid or Letrozole or IUI or even IVF. And that is just simply not true. It's really digging in to the root cause. Why do you have insulin resistance? Why is that happening? Is it your diet? Is it you are under an immense amount of stress? Is it your sleep? There's so many different things that can be at play here. And I know a lot of times it'll just be blamed on genetics. Oh, my mom had it, my aunt had it. It's just how it's going to be for me. There's nothing I can do. Sometimes there can be this victim mentality around it because we feel like we have no options. We feel like there's nothing we can do about it because that is how your doctor is painting the picture for you. And so you believe them, of course, because they're your healthcare provider. and they know best, right? They know about the human body and health and all of these things, but there's a lot of missing pieces there, unfortunately. So I feel like for me, what I really wanted to speak about is advocating for yourself. I think that that is so important and something that can be really difficult for some people because maybe we weren't shown by example by our parents growing up on how to advocate for yourself. Maybe you don't have that confidence yet to really express your voice and your needs and in what you feel is right for you. And I think that if you ever have an inkling in your mind, because I've spoken to so many people who are like, yeah, my doctor said this or that, that these were my only options, but there's got to be another way. Or I feel like there's more to the story, or I know there's more that I can do before I pursue X, Y, or Z, which are last resorts, or maybe they're not aligned for that person or that couple. So I just want you to know that if you're someone who's struggling with your blood sugar, maybe you're experiencing low blood sugar, high blood sugar, your diet is like one of the first places that is going to have such a tremendous impact on your blood sugar and also your sleep. So we'll talk about both. But if you think about it, if you're constantly getting bad sleep, whether it's from your just late night scrolling on your phone, or maybe you work the night shift or something like that. Maybe you have smaller children at home and your sleep is just affected by that. Whatever the reason may be, if you're having poor sleep and that's what you're dealing with day in and day out, when you're waking up in the morning, your hormones, especially your cortisol and your blood sugar, they're already out of whack just starting the day. And a lot of times when you're tired, you're not going to make those healthy food choices. It's going to be harder to do that. You're not going to feel like exercising. It's just going to be a lot more difficult to make those choices that you know are best for you and your fertility and choices that are going to help support a healthy blood sugar. So sleep is really important, making sure that you're getting at least 7 to 8 hours. I like to say no screens for an hour before sleep. If you do choose to do screens or TV, wear blue light blocking glasses, finding a nice bedtime routine that kind of settles you down, right? We want our melatonin to go up, our cortisol to go down so we can sleep. And then with nutrition, we talked a lot about a different nutrition things on the episode with Bethany, but I think for me, the most important thing to do is starting your day with a protein focused, fat forward breakfast. And within an hour of waking, potentially even within 30 minutes of waking for some people, depending on your constitution and what you have going on for yourself, but within 30 to 60 minutes of waking. And we want to focus on protein and healthy fats because that is going to keep you feeling satisfied and full. It's going to set up your cortisol levels and your blood sugar for the pretty much the rest of your day. If you're starting your day, let's just say with poor sleep already, you're skipping breakfast or you're having like a skimpy breakfast with not a lot of protein, not fats, and you're drinking coffee, possibly on an empty stomach, or that's like your focus instead of a nourishing meal, you're going to notice in a couple of hours, I'm hungry, maybe you're cranky, irritated, hangry, and you might just be on this like blood sugar roller coaster for the rest of the day. And for me personally, if I have a breakfast that's outside of my norm, let's just say it's a special occasion and we're out to eat, or maybe we're at like brunch for some special occasion or other. And maybe because a lot of times things like that, they don't have a lot of protein. It's usually like waffles and French toast and syrup and fruit and things like that. A lot of things that are going to spike your blood sugar. And if I have a breakfast without focusing on protein and healthy fats, I am noticing that in a couple of hours. And I notice it even if I end up eating something that's protein rich in a couple hours after that. I'm still noticing like it feels like my body is needing to catch up throughout the day. Like it will just set my day up and it's just like a downward spiral. So focusing on I like my clients to aim for around 30 grams of protein. Of course, that really should be personalized to you. If you're someone who has never been someone to eat breakfast, or it's really hard for you to eat a lot in the morning, that means that your metabolism is a little sluggish, and we need to work our way up towards eating a more healthy and robust breakfast. So this is really where you want to start small. And then another thing you can do that I think is a really cool blood sugar hack is if you are going to have a meal that is maybe a little bit more carb forward, you can actually dilute a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar in a glass of water and drink that before your meal. And that is going to help regulate your blood sugar. You could take a 10-minute walk after eating. That's going to help regulate your blood sugar as well. And if you are going to have a sweet, let's say it's a birthday party and you want to have a piece of cake. You want to have that piece of cake after you've had a meal because that's going to slow down how quickly that sugar is hitting your bloodstream and giving you a blood sugar spike. That's going to regulate that for you. And another thing you could do is eating your food somewhat in this order to the best of your ability. Protein, fats, non-starchy vegetables, and then you can have your complex carbs, carbohydrates, dessert after all of that. And that is all going to have a positive impact on your overall blood sugar. And I think for me, so I don't necessarily recommend this diet for everyone, but this is just the example I experienced personally. When my husband and I did keto back in 2017, 2018, that was the first time where I actually finally felt my blood sugar being regulated. And honestly, I didn't even realize that I was having blood sugar dysregulation before that. I just thought that's how my body was. Like, I couldn't leave the house without having a snack on me. And that just really meant I wasn't getting enough protein and fat in my meals. And I would get hangry and I would get low blood sugar where it was like I needed to eat. And if I didn't eat right now, I felt really, really, really sick. Why I'm happy that we did keto. We don't do keto anymore, but I'm still definitely lower carb compared to the standard American diet. It taught me the benefits that protein and fat have on my body and my blood sugar. And I don't have PCOS. I don't have insulin resistance, but it was still affecting me. So whether you've been diagnosed with those things or not, these are still, it's still very important for your health and your fertility, your cortisol levels, your blood sugar, because if you don't change this up now, even if you don't have issues in this moment, but you don't change anything, you could down the road. And also working on your blood sugar regulation in the fertility phase, ideally that's going to set you up for success when you're pregnant and minimize the risk and chances of gestational diabetes, which can have an impact not only on you, but on baby as well. It can actually increase the risk of baby getting diabetes and having metabolism and blood sugar issues later on in life. So those are just a couple of things that I really wanted to talk a little bit more on in terms of blood sugar regulation. I just want to thank you for listening to this episode and stay tuned for next week, where I'm actually going to be diving into a new series of the podcast, and you will learn more about what it's going to be, but it's definitely going to help on a fertility journey. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rising into Mindful Motherhood podcast. If this episode resonated with you or gave you an aha moment, stop what you're doing right now and write a review. This simple act of kindness helps me get this podcast out to connect with as many women as I possibly can. I also have a special offer. If you send me a screenshot of your review, I will take $250 off one of my premium coaching containers. Let me know what resonated with you the most and why. So connect with me in my free Facebook community or tag me on Instagram. You'll find both listed below. Thanks again from the bottom of my heart for tuning in to this episode, and I'll see you next time.